Welcome to a lovely evening here at Brands Hatch. This didn't look like it was going to be like this yesterday when the rain was hammering down, but it's fantastic. The sun is out. It's going to set very, very soon, but not before we get our first GB4 race of the weekend. Just 3 races to go in this championship, and this championship is ready to be won. It could be won in this race. We'll talk you through that in a little while. We're also going to hear from some of the drivers as well. I'm Jon Jackson. This is Piers alongside me, obviously a former British F3 driver, but he also drove the new GB4 car for next year as well. So Piers has got a lot to say on what it's like to drive around the track here at Brands Hatch. But first of all, let's just remind ourselves of what happened last time out as we had 3 excellent races at Donington Park.
Highlights from the penultimate weekend of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, and the race will begin down towards the first corner with a couple struggling to get to grips with the conditions. And one of those being Linus Granfors, dropping right the way back down the order. The championship leader was struggling to get out of gear and eventually have that problem sorted as he'd be able to carry his way on. They'd all worked their way through the first corner, and Lucas Blakeley was already working his way up after a mediocre qualifying by his standards, already into second position as he was hunting down yet another victory. Into the first corner would be a big send from Templeton, maybe a little bit too big though, was maybe slightly unsighted and spun round on the rear end of Baxter, right ahead of one of the KMR Sport drivers. Meanwhile, Linus Granfors in his rides up the order was struggling a little bit with the wetness out on the circuit there, just touching the curb a little bit too much, going for a big slide, but still was able to fend off Harry Burgoyne Jr. as he was working his way up to comfortably inside the top 5. Ellis was looking to the inside at Hickey into the final corner, but Hickey would go straight on himself. Meanwhile, the battle for the final position on the podium was brewing. The 21 of Palmowski would come straight through on the 27, and then there would be the Wilson-Baxter fight that we've seen so many times this season, as they would focus so much on each other they'd completely forget about that rise of the Swede. It's Linus Granfors working his way through and marching right up the order. They'd all have to bow though to Lucas Blakeley once more in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC, as he crossed the line. Whilst he would be a 1-2 for KMR Sport, there'd be a penalty for his teammate, and it would promote Harrison and Palmowski onto the podium. Ellis would stall on the second race grid though, and unfortunately for him, he'd have to rejoin right at the rear end of the train. Meanwhile, Finn Harrison was not able to convert his second pole position into a lead down to the first corner, as Linus Granfors would fire his way right around the outside in what you can tell is very difficult conditions. All drivers struggling, including Brandon Templeton. There might have been a bit of contact there between the 2 Fox Motorsports drivers. Megan Bruce down the inside, and Brandon Templeton went around into the first corner as Lucas Blakeley was still rising his way up the order onto the final position on the podium, but was not able to keep up with these two, absolutely running away with things. Finn Harrison keeping all of the pressure on the rear end of Linus Granfors, but unfortunately late in the race was unable to do anything. It will be Granfors leading from Harrison and from Blakeley across the line. And on then to the third race of the weekend, of course, the reverse grid. It was an excellent start from the second row of the grid for Harry Burgoyne Jr. to come straight through to take the lead. Bit of a poor start there from Dan Hickey from the front row, but he was still able to fend off the likes of Megan Bruce. Lucas Blakeley was also on the charge, trying to make it through onto the podium once more, straight around the outside, so bravely into that first corner. So a couple of cars would go out wide, including one of those Fox Motorsports cars. Big snap at the bottom of the hill though for Baxter, who'd go straight through the gravel trap at the old hairpin, was joined right at the rear end of the train as Alisha Palmowski would fight her way past Chloe Grant, coming down into the chicane at the end of the back stretch. Finn Harrison straight around the outside, and Nico Ellis as well, going through coppers with a brilliant move, and also dragging in tow the likes of the Fortec of Linus Granfors at the front of the field, or for third position rather. It was Alisha Palmowski trying to get through at the moment for third position, with a big look to the inside of Dan Hickey. Was doing an excellent job in this race down to the first corner at Redgate. It was going to be Alisha Palmowski muscling her way through to take over the final spot on the podium. It was going to be a 1-2 for KMR Sport, but this is a big one. It's Harry Burgoyne Jr. winning for the first time in GB4 ahead of Lucas Blakeley and Alisha Palmowski.
Yeah, so we're here at Brands Hatch, obviously, because Donington Park was last time out, but some great racing there. We're really seeing a lot of these drivers in the GB4 Championship coming into their own. Linus Granfors is leading, obviously brother of Joel Granfors, you might remember from GB3 a couple of seasons ago, and I'm sure Joel's given him a lot of tips on all these different tracks here, because he leads the championship by 35 points ahead of Alisha Palmowski and then 2 points ahead of Harry Burgoyne Jr. When it comes to this Brands Hatch track, Piers, the conditions out here, I mean, they're pretty good. It's not the warmest outside of the sun, but the sun has come out, which we didn't think would have happened when we saw the testing yesterday.
It's kind of perfect conditions to go single-seater racing, if I'm honest. Cool air temperature, it's a bit of sun to get a bit of extra warmth in the Pirelli tyres of the GB4 cars, because they take a while to get the tyres into their optimum window. But yeah, great circuit for GB4 racing. It really suits these cars. They've got a small amount of downforce, so you get a bit of extra confidence in the medium and high speed corners, which we have a lot of. The middle section of the Grand Prix loop, but then also you've got some slower corners, and with the GB4 cars being so close, we generally see some decent racing around here. It is harder to overtake maybe than some of the other circuits we go to, but still close.
Now, we do have some restrictions on how much they can drive on the full circuit here, so actually some of these drivers are only driving this circuit for, you know, not the first time, obviously they qualified earlier on, but for the first day, which means there's a lot to learn here. Are you expecting that to factor into the race? Are we likely to see maybe a bit more overtaking where drivers maybe make slight mistakes because they're not quite used to the track?
Potentially as well, because this circuit is not like, you know, Silverstone or Donington, which is big open flowing circuits that are nice and smooth. It's an old school circuit. You'll see on the Grand Prix loop there's some bumps out there. We'll see shortly the onboard lap that we have with Lucas Blakeley. The car moves around quite a lot, there's a few bumps. You have to be fully committed in the middle sector, and mistakes are punished. There's no margin for error.
Excellent stuff. Well, let's hear from one of our title protagonists then. He's 37 points behind at the start of this race. It's Harry Burgoyne Jr. from KMR Sport. Well, Harry, we come down to the final weekend of the GB4 Championship of 2024. You're very much in the title hunt. How have you been feeling leading up to this weekend? Because it is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been thinking about what I need to do and how I can improve on myself with the driving. I've struggled a little bit lately, just when my driving style is a little bit different to everyone else and everything. So, yeah, just been focusing on that and just pushing on the simulator, just getting better and better and better. You don't get many test days on the GP loop, so you really need to do a lot in the sim to get used to it.
Do you think it's possible to over-prepare, maybe to overthink about it, and sometimes you need to like block it out of your mind and do anything but driving?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will be overthinking about it this weekend, but I've not really overthunk it that much. I've just think, oh, I'm third, I need to win the championship, so I really just need to concentrate on winning and not look at the championship, and hopefully everything else happens.
We saw the team win the team's championship last time out at Donington Park, and it's their third team's championship in a row, which is incredible. You've also got Tom Mills on your side, helping you, coaching you, and obviously he's doing GB3 this weekend, but still giving you those words of advice. What's he told you for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, he just said don't think about the championship, just think about going out and winning. So that's all I've been doing lately, and yeah, he's kind of left us this weekend to go race GB3, so he was good in that last session, so good luck to him this weekend.
Yeah, well, you were great in the last testing session in GB4, topping that session, so the conditions have been a little bit tricky with a lot of rain, a lot of moisture on the track, and it looks like it could be a little bit drier for the first race. What kind of conditions would completely be if you had to choose?
I don't really mind, to be honest. The wet wheel pretty good today. We were only car out this morning for the first 5-10 laps. And then another car went out, but it was only us this morning, so it just shows who actually likes the rain and doesn't. So rain would be nice, but dry. Seemed to have alright pace yesterday, but just looking forward to racing my last ever race weekend in GB4.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We'll let you continue your preparations, and we'll look forward to hopefully speaking to you on the podium.
Thank you.
Harry Burgoyne there. I feel like Harry's really coming to himself this year, you know, quite a shy character, but every time we speak to him he's more and more passionate about what he loves, and that is motor racing. We talked a little bit there about the track. Now obviously we've had a lot of action on track today, and the conditions have been completely different, as I said there, than yesterday when it was raining. What kind of track evolution do we have here? We've had a lot of GT cars out there at the moment.
Yeah.
Going to lay down some more rubber?
Yeah, they were here testing on the full circuit earlier in the week, or some of the drivers were at least, on Wednesday, but obviously that's quite a few days between now and then. There's been rain, quite a lot of rain up Piers, then a bit of testing on the Indy circuit, and now the GTs have gone out. So every time the cars go out on circuit and the drivers experience the circuit, they need to use the first lap or so to feel where the grip is, feel where there's more or less grip than when they last drove, so they can get to the limit. Because you might see a driver who's maybe less experienced, they could be quick in one session and then maybe a few tenths off in the next. But that's part of learning, part of becoming a good racing driver, is being able to drive to the grip that's available, not just driving to a number.
And we've also seen that drivers haven't done all the sessions, although there are so many set testing sessions throughout the week. For example, Chloe Grant wasn't testing yesterday on the shorter circuit. Lucas Blakeley was at the McLaren Technology Centre yesterday doing a bit I asked him earlier, so what were we doing? He went, just working. I went, what do you mean working? He went, a bit of sim stuff. It's just like a pretty cool job to just blasé say, yeah, a bit of working. Right?
Just on the McLaren simulator.
Absolutely. Well, let's hear from another one of our title protagonists then. This is Alisha Palmowski with Elite Motorsports, 35 points behind Championship leader Linus Granfors. Alisha, good to see you. Before we talk about this race weekend, how was your birthday? Because you just turned 18.
Yeah, it was amazing, thank you. It was a really cool weekend. Actually, my mum actually had a really special project that she had going on for months, where she was going around loads of people around the paddock, family, friends, and asking them to put together a short video message for me, and which she managed to create a 42-minute long video. There was that many people that sent messages, so just really, really grateful to everybody that sent one over. It was a really special surprise, and yeah, my first race weekend as an adult, so no pressure.
I feel less bad that I actually forgot to send a video in on the request of your mother, so I think 42 minutes is more than long enough. When we look at this weekend, you're very much in the title fight, 35 points behind the lead. What are you thinking after these few days of testing?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited, really looking forward to it. Obviously it's been a little bit difficult in testing because we were testing on the GP circuit on Wednesday, and then we've had the Indy layout on Friday. So also the weather came into play today. It's been absolutely horrific, and the weather this weekend we think is going to be a little bit better. So very difficult, tricky to get a good car set up, but we felt really, really strong on Wednesday. Again, quite difficult because all the F4 cars were out, so it was difficult in terms of traffic and trying to get space, trying to get a clear lap in. But the pace is looking solid. I'm feeling really confident, absolutely love this circuit, so just can't wait to get going and on the final race weekend of the year.
We talked back at Donington about the financial implications of winning the championship and how important that is for the next step in your journey in motorsports, but actually being a champion of something is something that is a pretty nice title to throw around.
Absolutely, it would mean the absolute world to me to become champion. It's such a special title, as you say, and it's just would be sort of just a thank you to the whole team for how much effort they've put in the whole year. I mean, just today, for example, just seeing them all just stood on the pit wall in the pouring down rain, changing tyres, doing pit stops, just they don't stop at all. So not just for myself, but for the whole team, it just mean the whole world. But I think may the best person win, and if that is Linus, if that's Harry, then it's been a pleasure to race them this year. I've learned absolutely loads from them, so yeah, I'm just hoping we can end it on a high, and whether that be first, second or third, I just hope that I can have done a good job and make everybody proud.
This is probably the furthest track from home. Have you got friends and family coming down to support you?
Quite a lot actually, not necessarily family and friends, but just people that we've met across a few years racing. I think Johnny Herbert's actually coming this weekend to watch, so that's really, really cool that we've got some people. And yeah, it's going to be quite an emotional weekend really. Last weekend in GB4, I've absolutely loved this year. It's been such a huge learning curve for me, but I've loved every second of it. Potentially my last race weekend with Elite Motorsport and with Sarah Moore, so just really want to enjoy it with all of them, and yeah, just have it and end on a high really.
Absolutely. Well, let's hope you go out on a bang. Best of luck this weekend, and happy birthday, because I missed it a couple of weeks ago.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Big race coming up for Alisha. Not a great qualifying from her. Seemed to have a problem and only get a few laps in towards the end, and did well to actually get up the leaderboard, the what we call it, grid. There we go. Mind blank, man. Get up the grid as far as she did.
Yeah, it was a tough session for the elite drivers actually, because they were only separated by a couple of hundredths, but nearly, I think it was over a second, or getting on for a second away from our pole position time from Linus Gramfus, and we haven't seen either of them that far off the pace at any stage this year. So I don't know whether there was problems, mitigating circumstances, or whether they just didn't quite find the setup. But if it was set up, then I'm sure Elite will have made some changes into this race, because they've pretty much been there or thereabouts all year, as proven by Alisha being second in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jay Herbs, Johnny Herbert, to people who aren't his close friends, he is here. I've seen him. He's around.
I've met him.
I've met him. Yeah. I'm not close friends with Johnny Herbert. I remember him winning at Silverstone once, but I was a kid, so I don't think he'll care. It's been a long time. Anyway, €30,000 is up for grabs for the top female driver, and obviously Alisha Palmowski. She may have even won that already.
She has.
She has won that already. So Alicia's got €30,000 towards her next step, and that would
Academy.
be F1 Academy. Yeah.
If she gets a seat.
Absolutely, if she gets a seat. So I mean, that's nearly a third of the money you'd probably need to put into F1 Academy. So it'll be great for her, to have that already. But to get the prize money as well for winning the championship would be huge for her. So fingers crossed for her. Lucas Blakeley is back on the grid. I mentioned him. He was doing his stuff at McLaren. Lucas Blakeley is back on the grid. We didn't know if he would be, because money's been an issue for him as well. But I'm glad to say he is here, and I caught up with him earlier. Lucas, we didn't know if we'd see you here, but you're here. How have you made this happen? Because we spoke at Donington and we knew that you were very much at the end of your bank account. The piggy bank had been smashed a long time ago, but you are here. How's that happened?
Yeah, just with huge thanks to people helping me out. I mean, first and foremost, huge thanks to KMR Sport for having me back. They've been really good to me all year, and it's been an absolute pleasure to race with them, so really happy to be back to finish the season with them. And yeah, it's just a huge thanks to to everyone that's really supported me to get here this weekend. My sponsors for this weekend, we've got Sim Staff, Sim Racing HQ, Accelerate Nutrition, Precise Solutions, GPS, SD team. All without them, this would not be possible. And it's great to have some stickers on the car for once. It's pretty cool to have a little bit of maybe not as much blank space. So huge thanks to everybody that's helped me be here. Also friends and family. It's been a real collective effort to be standing here, and yeah, to be getting to drive on the Brands Hatch GP circuit is something that has been an unbelievable experience. So I'm trying to savour every moment and enjoy it.
Well, look, it's been great to have you this season, but the season's not over. We've got 3 more races to go. How did you get out? I mean, how did you find qualifying? We know how you got on, but how did you find it out there?
Qualifying was intense. First push lap, I put it off the track into the gravel, and thankfully kept it going. So, yeah, put myself in the back foot immediately. But yeah, just pushed too hard in some places, too little in others. It was very mixed match. Thankfully, managed to string a few laps on the board that were competitive enough. I wasn't entirely happy with them. But yeah, good enough to be P2 and P2 front row for both races, which is, puts you in contention. Would have liked to have been on pole. The car had it in it. I just didn't do a good enough job. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and make excuses. Just got to drive faster and not make as many mistakes. So I know what my goal is in the race. Just got to get my head down. But yeah, front row is certainly not a bad place to be. So I'll take it.
You've made this happen, and we see the GB4 car for 2025 just sat around the corner. It's on a little plinth this time. It's not out on the track. You've made this happen, you've impressed people, you've got the sponsors on board, you've done really well, you've got huge winning margins, you've got race victories. There must be part of the Lucas Blakeley mind that thinks, right, so 2025 could happen as well?
It's so hard to say, because ultimately I didn't think I'd get this far. So to even think, I've always been looking at it from like a race by race, or even, it's always just been getting to the next point. So for me to even think of what I do, I mean, I don't know what happens after this, I really don't. Whether it's racing GB4 next year, whether it's racing anything next year. I mean, ultimately I would love to be racing in a car. I'll never say no to an opportunity to get behind the wheel, and every time I've got on the track, I've just tried to prove what I can do and be competitive, get the results, and that's all I can really do. I mean, it'll always, a little bit of a bump there in the paddock. Yeah, it'll all just come down to budget, and I mean, yeah, I've stretched it. I mean, to even have had what I've had this year has been an immense dream.
And so it's season finale time as we head to, of course, Brands Hatch to round out the championship. A championship which has a 3-way fight. Linus Granfors can win it today, but he must win the race. Palmowski must finish lower than 10th, so 11th or worse. And Burgoyne Jr. must finish basically, not. And if that does happen, then indeed we will see a victory for Linus Granfors. It is super unlikely for it to happen in the 21st or in the 19th race of GB4 this year. We'll have to probably wait until tomorrow. Let's take a look though at the circuit that we're racing at. Of course, it's the Grand Prix layout here at Brands Hatch. Very high speed for these cars. They work all the way down towards Hawthorns Bend on the Grand Prix loop before they go through the right hands at Westfield Bend at Sheen Curve, flicking it through the left at Stirling's, and then out through Clearways and on to the start-finish straight. It is a difficult one, hard to make up the positions, but they certainly can do so in this. The cars have worked their way round. They're putting themselves in position to fly around this 2.4 mile circuit, most notably because of its undulation, 30 metres all the way around, the big ups and downs, the largest drop off coming all the way down Paddock Hill. The green flag is out though, the 5-second board is on, and we are ready to go racing. It's Linus Granfors on that pole position, as we were talking about just before we went racing. Blakeley is alongside in the front row, and he is away well, our championship leader, away very cleanly at the front of the field. It is though Harry Burgoyne Jr. straight down the inside of his teammate up in a second position. Meanwhile, you've got the Elite Motorsports cars 4th and 5th there as they're trying to fend off the likes of Brandon Templeton. They've just worked their way past. Of course, there's McGlade, Piers, Pryor in the comedy booth. Already a frantic start to the race. Out wide though, that's Harry Burgoyne Jr.
No, I think it was actually Blakeley looking around the outside. Couldn't quite get that one done. Blakeley is the 3rd in the queue there. It's Burgoyne Jr. who's actually right under the rear wing of Linus Granfors as Granfors gets a poor exit, but both of the yellow Elite Motorsport cars have made their way past Leon Wilson, as well as now Palmowski in the number 21 yellow Elite Motorsport car has a quick look at Blakeley, and we're side by side between Templeton and Leon Wilson in the background temporarily.
Yeah, no worries about championship order in this. When it comes to the teams side of things, that was settled by KMR Sport a fair while ago, it feels, back in Donington Park. It's all talk of the Drivers' Championship. It is the Drivers' Championship leader leading the way at the moment. Harry Burgoyne Jr. feeling the requirement to defend from his teammate. Now, obviously, there's no team radios and all this. They've all discussed their game plan before they go racing. Lucas Blakeley there, sat in third position. Is he going to help his teammate or is he going to attack his teammate? It seemed as though Harry Burgoyne Jr. was thinking, oh, he's attacking.
I don't think Lucas Blakeley is going to be helping one bit. Every man for themselves, I think, in this final race of the season. Oh, there's a car off in the background. Who was that?
Slow exit, though, from Linus Granforces. There's a big moment as well coming through the final corner. Here comes Harry Burgoyne Jr. It's a big moment for Linus Granforces. It might be a KMR Sport 1-2 here as Harry Burgoyne Jr. works his way past, as does Lucas Blakeley. Can Alisha Palmowski find her way through in that bright yellow Elite Motorsports car? Look to the inside, and it is Alisha Palmowski. Big drama for our championship leader, dropping right the way down the order.
Yeah, it looked like he just got, maybe his rear tyres aren't quite up to temperature, because now Brandon Templeton actually having a move around the outside of Finn Harrison. That's a great move. But yeah, it looks like Linus Granforces in that white and red Fortec Motorsport car of his number 16. He just had a bit of a wobble through Stirling's, and then also another wobble going through Clearways, and he put two wheels on the curb, and that curb is so dirty he was lucky not to get dragged off the circuit and through the gravel, which will have cost him even more time. But that's released the two KMR drivers of Burgoyne and Blakeley.
Let's take a look on the replay. I mean, talk us through this.
Yeah, so he's defending from Burgoyne. That puts him off of the grippiest racing line, and you can see the dust being kicked up as soon as he got off the racing line. No grip off there, so that meant that he slid further and further wide. Did well to keep it on the circuit, but lost 2 places and ultimately a third from Palmowski in that 21 Elite Motorsport car as well.
I mean, you saw how aggressive the snap was as well coming through the corner. Now he's feeling the pressure from Brandon Templeton having a great start to this. But yeah, you even saw it going into that final corner. As soon as he kind of turned it, almost as if it looked as if the rear brakes locked. Obviously, you don't really jam on the brakes there going into the final corner at Clearways. That's the kind of vibe that it looked like it was. It was that aggressive of a snap.
I think he just genuinely, because he was defending on the inside line, it looked like he just braked. He was in the mirror, maybe looking in the mirror, just misjudged his braking, braked a bit too late. And that, because the corner at Clearways, you go over a crest through the apex. If you have understeer, it makes the understeer worse. If you have oversteer, it makes that oversteer worse. And I think he just got on the, just got a bit of oversteer as he went over the crest. That put him onto the marbles and the dirty part of the circuit, which then made him slide more. And yeah, that's what ultimately cost him some time. But we know he has the pace. Blakeley and Granforces were effectively a league ahead of everyone else in qualifying. Those two were fighting it out for pole position, almost a second clear of the two Elite Motorsport cars, who are, I think, 4th and 5th on the grid. So if he can find that pace that advantage he had in qualifying, he should be able to make his way back past Alisha Palmowski. But we shall see. It looks like Brandon Templeton's actually got some good pace at this stage of this race as well, actually keeping the pressure on our championship leader.
And Palmowski is definitely not going to give this one up easily at all. Harry Burgoyne Jr. fresh off of a first victory in GB4 a few weeks back at Donington Park in the final race there. Has that ignited his championship challenge? We've already seen in GB3 a bit earlier on in the day, the championship challenge has been turned up a little bit to 11. Seems though we're getting it here as well.
Potentially so, potentially so. Again, Linus does have a fairly, nice little buffer, much like Louis Sharp does in the GB3 Championship, but it only takes one poor result. As Brandon Templeton actually now having a quick look at the inside of our championship leader. Templeton in that Fox Motorsport orange, white and dark blue car on the back of our championship leader Granforces in the white and red Fortec Motorsports car. So there we are. Those are the two now at the moment. Templeton actually having a look at the inside. So, but I heard from Granforces when I spoke to him after qualifying. He said we went really low on the tyre pressures in qualifying to hopefully be quick at the end of the race, at the end of qualifying, and he did. It helped in qualifying in terms of getting those final 2 laps in to be pole for race 1 and race 2. But if he's gone low in this race, expecting to be at the front of the field and hopefully pulling away, then that's really backfired for him, because he's still struggling. Like in qualifying, he was over a second faster than Brandon Templeton.
Now, yeah, this is the thing, is like obviously low tyre pressures plus a cold track. That can be quite an aggressive combo.
Yeah, let's have a look at, this is a wobble for Dan. No, that's not Dan Hickey, that's Megan Bruce having a big slide coming out of Stirling's.
Succeeding track limits.
Yeah, and also you can see the car. That's what we call skateboarding, or some people call skateboarding, where you can see the wheels of the car actually off the ground. The plank that runs directly down the centre of the car as these cars run so low. If you get on the curb, that effectively acts like a skateboard, wheels come off the ground and you grind along it. You don't get any extra skill points for that, though.
No, indeed. No bonuses coming in from our race stewards here. There's Finn Harrison, not having quite the same weekend as he did at Donington Park, where he showed some incredible speed with a double pole position. Wasn't able to convert either of those to victory, but still showed some great speed and great form. At the moment, defending from the 27 of Wilson at the moment in that battle for 6th position in the race. The 38, Finn Harrison, the bright yellow car that you cannot miss. We've seen some excellent speed from him throughout the season. And they'll be able to hang on at the moment from Wilson, who's sat on the rear end. And, of course, they've got Chloe Grant not too far arrears. Fastest lap has just come in, though, from P2 in the race, Lucas Blakeley.
Yeah, I was about to say that, actually, Burgoyne is showing pace in this race so far that we haven't really seen at any point this weekend so far. He's not really been at the... He's been there or thereabouts, but never really topping sessions convincingly. This weekend, but he's got into the lead of the race, got a good start past his teammate, and then of course making the most of that issue from Linus Gramfors. Although giving credit where credit's due, Burgoyne did apply the pressure onto Gramfors, which caused that mistake. So he's driven a good race so far, but I don't know what discussions have gone on between these two KMR Sport teammates. I don't know whether Lucas will be thinking, I don't want to get involved in Harry's championship campaign, or whether he's thinking, I've managed to just get myself on the grid this weekend. It was literally a few days ago he said I'm not going to be on the grid because he didn't have the funding. A couple of extra sponsors stepped in, and if you head over to Lucas's Instagram and social medias, you'll see who's helped him out to get on the grid, and he's thankful for that, and it's great that we're able to see him on the grid again. But all that hard work, I think he's probably just going to be pushing for the win, but who knows. There's a lot more to racing than just driving fast.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is battling for his own stuff at the moment. He could finish in 4th in the championship, by the way, at the end of this, as Harry Burgoyne Jr. reacts with the fast lap. I think this is just pace. I think the two of them are just pushing each other right now. Lucas Blakeley finds himself coming in as 6th in the championship. Importantly, though, he's about 25 points off of Brandon Templeton. So will most likely find himself in 4th position in the championship, but he kind of wants to guarantee that. He's got to outscore Brandon Templeton, Callum Baxter as well, by at least 25 points over the weekend. So
judging by previous form, he could well do.
Very much so.
Yeah, I mean, his form has been... Since he had an introduction to the championship, he's been amazing. Let's have a look at that start again. So actually a very poor start from Leon Wilson in the dark blue and white dark blue and white Arden car, and that was what allowed both of the Elite Motorsport yellow cars to jump through of the 21 of Palmowski and the 38 of Harrison. So Leon Wilson, actually, I was going to say, very impressive in qualifying, one of his strongest qualifying so far this year, 4th place. So he's going to be getting faster and faster as the year goes. You can see Blakeley fighting with the car, wrestling with the wheel through there. These guys are pushing on hard, and they're setting almost identical times at the front of the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, they are basically being the class of the field between the pair of them. So very impressive at the moment, Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Lucas Blakeley. I've got to say, the fact that Harry Burgoyne Jr. is stepping up his pace to Lucas Blakeley here, very impressive. In fact, just goes even faster, sets the fastest lap of the race on the previous one. Harry Burgoyne Jr. is really stepping up. I mean, the pair of them are 3 seconds clear of this grouping as Gramfors is applying the pressure once more to a rival in the championship. This one, though, not the... it is the battle between 1st and 2nd in the championship coming in. This was Alisha Palmowski, who's 2 points clear at the moment of Harry Burgoyne Jr. She'll definitely be behind after this. Yeah,
I was... just looking at the sector times at the front of the field, it looked like that little error through Sterling, through Blakeley, and potentially into the last corner as well, cost him. He lost about half a second in the last sector, which I think is just those 2 corners. And so uncharacteristic error there from Blakeley, which opened up that gap a little bit. But yes, you're right, it was a few laps ago. It was Gramfors under pressure from Templeton, but that gap has grown, and now Gramfors applying pressure on the rear end. Let's stay with this battle for a little bit if we can, because I think this is going to get closer and closer, and potentially be the closest battle for a position, and especially, or at least inside the top 10. That is Palmowski. That is how close they are. This is such a cool part of the circuit. This corner here, Sheen, it's full commitment. You cannot see the apex when you turn in, and you cannot see the exit when you're going through the middle of the corner. It's all sort of over the crest of a hill, which is really exhilarating, but you have to have complete faith and commitment as you turn in there to get the lap time that you need.
I've not been as lucky as you, Piers, to have thrown a car around this circuit in real life. I have done it enough in the sims and visited all of the barriers around here as well. The joys of it all being laser scanned in sim race, you can really kind of get that feeling. And the vibe when you throw it in through there is so great, even in the sim. So I could imagine what it's like in real life. Lucas Blakeley then fastest lap of the race. But as you say, got to keep our eyes in this battle for third position. Palmowski is under a lot of pressure right now. They've been caught by Templeton. And I think Finn Harrison is knocking at the door as well to join in on this fight if they're not careful.
Yeah, Finn Harrison at the back of this group in the number 38 yellow, second of the yellow cars, but he's actually under pressure from Leon Wilson at the moment as well. Wilson, again, we know he's got the pace when he can hook it up. He was fourth in qualifying, ahead of all these drivers apart from Linus Gramfers, so he just needs to find a way through the gaps, sort of ebbing and flowing between Gramfers and Palmowski, but potentially just at different parts of the circuit, their two different cars are stronger and weaker than each other. Of course, all the GB4 cars are identical in terms of specification, both the chassis engine, but the teams themselves will set the cars up. You can adjust the downforce, the damping, the springs, loads of different adjustments. No actual changes to the cars. There's lots of adjustments which affect how the car handles and how the car feels to the drivers. So if you add more, wing angle at the front and the rear, you get more downforce, which means that you might be faster in corners like this, medium speed corners through Clark and maybe Haddock Hill. But then if you flatten the wings out, you get less downforce but better straight line speed, so you might be in a position to potentially make a move at the end of a straight like Linus Gramfers is shaping up for, and Palmowski feels the need to go a little defensive into the first corner. Yeah, indeed. Should do the kind of diagonal braking line up here into Druids, does indeed do so. Linus Gramfers tries to go through. 5 laps left to go in this race. There's still plenty of time for Linus Gramfers to find his way through on Alisha Palmowski. I mean, you said about the changes. We were looking at the lap that Lucas Blakeley did in qualifying, and I remember you remarked that car looked very stiff. It was taking a lot of the bumps around here. Well, it's just because these cars generally, they're very, very low to the ground. They do have underfloor downforce. Not a huge amount in GB4, not as much as GB3 or potentially the improvements and steps forward that we're going to have in next year in both GB3 and 4. But there's some downforce produced by the end of the side of the car, and of course, in any racing car, the lower the car is to the ground, the lower your centre of gravity, the more theoretical grip you can have. So they run really low, and you can see the cars bouncing up and down, and they run them stiff so that your car stays flat through the corner to help that aerodynamic grip. But that means that when you do hit a bump or a curb, that the car does pogo stick around, so you have to be fully committed and understand where the car's going to be. Oh, it's a little mistake. Quite a large mistake from Palmowski on the exit of Sterling's there. Now it's going to be side by side. It looks like Gramfers might have an overlap, and he does. He gets through, so a small mistake from Alisha Palmowski allows Linus Gramfers to get through, and let's see if Gramfers can now pull away and potentially close the gap to the front two. Yeah, Gramfers himself had a costly mistake earlier on in the race, and now it's Alisha Palmowski dishing him out. 4 laps left to go at Brands Hatch in the opening race of the weekend. We'll take a look once more at this as we head down into Stirling. So it's just ahead of shot right now as we go into the super slow. You can see that car bouncing around of Linus Gramfers, and just a little overcommitted, you have to say. Look at how much that tyre wobbles as it gyrates right on top of that curb. Yeah, that was it shows quite how fine the margins are with that slow-mo there. Palmowski was probably only half a car, which equates to less than a metre wider than Linus Gramfers, but that's the level of precision that you need to be driving at. You need to be driving at centimetre precision to get a car, like a single-seater like this around a circuit like Brands Hatch Grand Prix at the ultimate pace. And just carrying a little bit too much speed into that corner. That will either be Alisha braking slightly too late, or coming off the brakes a little bit too abruptly to causing a bit of understeer in the middle of the corner, or maybe getting on the power a bit early. Of course, all of those things, if you do them right, you gain lap time, but you do too much and you run a bit wide and can cost yourself valuable track position, as we saw a lap ago. But she'll be pushing on to try and take back that position she lost. I mean, she's done a good job to kind of get that out of her head immediately and still go on the attack. And this is such a confident circuit around Brands Hatch. Oh, hugely. She's done a fantastic job to kind of bury that mistake, as Linus Gramfers did earlier on in the race, and just refocus, because I think it's one of those ones where it's so easy when you've made one mistake to then make another, and then make another, and then make another around here, because again, I say it's a confident circuit. 2 people not making mistakes. 7 seconds clear of that battle that we were just watching. It's Harry Burgoyne Jr. and Lucas Blakeley. It is the KMR Sports Show at the moment. Oh, Megan Bruce. Just gone off the road a bit there at the final corner, the penultimate corner at Stirling's. Probably the same thing as what we just saw there from Palmowski, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah, just a slightly larger error there from Megan Bruce. But here we go. Let's have a look at this. So Bruce going into this corner, you can see that she just got a bit of understeer where the front of the tyres didn't quite grip, and then because she had understeer, she ran off the circuit, and then once you're on the grass, that grass and gravel doesn't have as much grip as the tarmac.
No, probably not, especially after all the rain they had yesterday. It's going to be damp out there.
I love slow-mos like this. Look at that. I mean, it's not pretty for Megan Bruce, but it's very pretty just to look at as a piece of art.
It's not as good as the slow-mo a few weeks ago when we predicted it appearing and then it appeared. That's been shared around social media a fair amount. That was pretty solid. Yeah,
that was good. It was good mind reading between commentary and directors, so that was good. But let's cut ourselves back to very much full speed racing action, not slow-mos around here between these two, because the gap has come down about half a second now as Blakeley goes faster and faster, closing that gap, and actually closes it. Burgoyne holding the gap at half a second. It's very close between these two. The issue that Blakeley has here is, as much as the GB4 cars, very good cars to race, we see brilliant racing most weekends we go racing in GB4 Championship, there is a small amount of grip that is added by that front wing, and if you get close to a car in front, the air that goes over the wing is disrupted and means you just get slightly less front grip. So basically not sort of so much this corner here at Surtees, but then the next triple right-handers are all medium high-speed right-hand corners where you need that extra little bit of aerodynamic grip to give you the speed through the corner to keep the speed up. And unfortunately, when you're behind another car, it's quite hard to just get enough front grip to get closer, and it just keeps the gap at about half a second. But all it takes, as we've seen with Palmowski and Granfers, is a small error from Burgoyne, and Blakeley will be through for another win this season. But Burgoyne will be doing everything he can to take another victory. He's been right up there so much this season, but hasn't taken as many victories as he would like. Finally got a victory last time out.
Yeah, but it will be another podium for Blakeley at the moment. 1 minute left to go means we're about to head on to the final lap of the race. And whilst I'll say pretty much all the GB3 drivers, in fact, I'll put it straight down now. All the GB3 drivers have definitely left, all probably bar one. I'm pretty sure Tom Mills is keeping a very close eye on what's happening here for the KMR Sport team. Then one final lap to go. Harry Burgoyne Jr. leads at the line. It is tight, but I do think that Lucas Blakeley, he's not sat there in second position going, yeah, I'll take second. He wants that win.
Absolutely. He's going to keep the pressure on. You can see him darting it in a little bit earlier there. That's purely just to put his car in the mirrors of Harry Burgoyne at the front of the field, to try and force Harry to maybe just look behind rather than in front and snatch a break or break a little bit late and force himself offline. It looks like in the first sector Blakeley has closed up a little bit. I'll confirm that in just a second. Yeah, he has, only ever so slightly though, but that is closer visually than it has been for the last few laps.
Yeah, indeed, going there into Surtees, they get blinded a little bit by the sun. They'll have that a little bit into Westfield Bend as well. Not quite as bad because it should be a little bit of blockage from the trees. As you can see, there's plenty of shadow around here. There's a little bit of a dart, a bit of a look from Lucas Blakeley as we come over to the top. We'll head back out into the sunshine as we flick through the right-hander at Westfield Bend, then dropping down the hill at Dingle Dell and then back up into Sheen. I don't think it's going to be close enough, and I think we might be looking at a second consecutive victory here for Harry Burgoyne Jr. into the final couple of corners. It's been a perfect drive for the KMR Sport duo, and it'll be once again a 1-2, but which order will it be? This could reignite the championship charge for Harry Burgoyne Jr., who'll retake second position in the championship. One final corner left to go. Bit of a drag race between the pair of them towards the line, but it will be Harry Burgoyne Jr. It took him a long time, nearly 2 years to take his first victory. It's taken just 3 weeks, and in the next opportunity he grabs his second. It is Harry Burgoyne Jr. ahead of Lucas Blakeley, and a long wait until we'll see Linus Granfors across the line for third.
Yeah, decent damage limitation for Linus Granfors, having fallen down to the bottom end of the top 5-6 position, I think he was at one point. But he'll be disappointed to have lost some points to Harry Burgoyne Jr. because, of course, Harry Burgoyne is his nearest championship rival. It doesn't change things hugely. Granfors still will lead the championship comfortably. Lewis, I'll let you have a look and then inform everyone when you've got a moment, when you've done your updates in terms of where it will lead the championship. But Granfors will probably still lead, but Burgoyne will be happy with another victory. A KMR Sport, brilliant race for them, 1 and 2 when they were not on pole position. So yeah, interesting one that. We always say that Brands Hatch is hard to overtake at, and some people are a bit pessimistic and the racing is going to be boring. Well, we've had drama already this weekend, and we've still got 2 more races to go, including that reverse grid race in race number 3.
Just because there's not many overtakes doesn't mean that it's a boring race, because there was a lot of pressure between that top grouping, which is what makes it exciting. By the way, I will update you with the championship. We'll get it viewed on screen once we've done with the podium, once we've done with the highlights. Don't worry about that if you think you're missing out. But I can tell you now, Linus Gramforce's championship lead has been cut down to 26 points. Harry Burgoyne Jr. is on 389, Linus Gramforce on 415, Alisha Palmowski on 377. She's 38 points. Basically what that means is, going into the final 2 races tomorrow, which will get started tomorrow morning, it will be the top 3 in championship contention. It's still Gramforce, it's still Burgoyne Jr., it's still Palmowski, and this could definitely come down to the wire, especially if the KMR Sport car is that quick tomorrow morning. That was an excellent drive from Harry Burgoyne Jr. fresh out of the car. Like I said, it took, I'm not joking, it took nearly 2 years for that first victory, and there is Tom Mills in the background again. I said he wouldn't leave, as Kevin Mills comes over to congratulate. It took him nearly 2 years to take that first victory, and then in 2 consecutive races takes his second one. And to be fair, showing that kind of pace against Lucas Blakeley, who has been arguably the fastest driver in the rounds that he's done. Well, I say arguably, I think that's pretty unarguable when you look at his results. Has been the dominant force in the rounds that Lucas Blakeley has done. For Harry Burgoyne Jr. to show that pace, and you can tell that it wasn't, you know, just Blakeley kind of sitting there in second spot, because of the gap they grew to all that group behind. The fact that it was that fast and that frenetic between the pair of them, I guarantee, like, Blakeley was not sat there in second position and thinking, oh, I'm going to settle for this and hold on to it, because you would have seen him drop back a little bit more, not applying the pressure, not trying to force that mistake. There was definite fighting between those 2 KMR Sport drivers, which is what we want to see. But for Lucas Blakeley, it is yet another podium. I mean, in the 10 races that he's done in 2024, he's been on the podium in 8 of them. So it's been pretty consistent from him. Let's hand down though to Jon, who's going to catch up with our top 3 from the race.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Yeah, the sun's out. It's very nice down here as Harry Burgoyne Jr. gets his photos taken by multiple people. Bit of KMR Sports social media. Harry, 2 race wins in a row now. You waited so long for one, and that second one came along in the very next race.
Yeah, I mean, we drove a good race there. We got a pretty good start. We got into P2, but then we managed to get Linus at the last corner. He made a mistake. I just put him under a bit of pressure, and he made a mistake, which his fault. But yeah, managed to let me get in front, and then that was me just clean sailing all the way through. Just setting good times, so it was hard for Lucas to catch. But yeah, it was a hard race to try and keep very focused and all that. The sun was a bit low through the back, so it was hard to see some of the corners. But other than that, it was a good race, I think.
It must have been fun to have Lucas pushing you all the way to the line, though.
Yeah, I mean, when he's pushing you all the way to the line, you're trying your hardest, watching in your mirrors and trying not to go off track. Here it's so easy to make one little mistake and go off track, which we didn't, and we managed to come home with a win.
Well, look, congratulations, 2 race wins in a row now. First one of the weekend here, maybe a couple more to come?
Yeah, hopefully.
Excellent stuff. Congratulations, Harry Burgoyne there with KMR Sport. Let's come round and find, I cannot see a thing. Let's get Lucas Blakeley to come to me. Lucas, we heard from you before the race, back on the grid, very pleased to be back on the grid, and another trophy and a pretty dominant performance by the team.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, congrats to Harry. You know, he drove a faultless race, didn't put a foot wrong, made it pretty hard to, you know, have any chance of a win. So yeah, congrats to him. He drove well, and yeah, great result to have a 1-2 for KMR Sport. Yeah, I just had not a very good start. It was very low grip, so I'll need to learn from that for tomorrow. But that's part of the process.
So a little twitch towards the end there. Were you considering a late move, or maybe the sensible brain kicked in?
No, I mean, I was going for it. I was trying to see if there was any opportunity. But I mean, this is not a track where overtaking opportunities present themselves very easily. You have to really try and follow through some very hard corners to follow. And it was actually really hard to see as well. The sun was blinding, so it was yeah. Very long, very tense race, but very happy to be back in the grid. Huge thanks to my sponsors for allowing me to even be here in the first place for this weekend. But yeah, we'll work on a few things for tomorrow and try and go for the win then.
Great stuff. Good to have you back, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
There we go, Lucas Blakeley. We're going to have to find Linus. Here we are. Linus, not the start you would have liked, not the first lap you would have liked, but important for you to get past Alisha.
Yeah, like the first lap was just, yeah, in the last corner there was, yeah, I got a bit of a snap, and then just I went back to P4, and then just in the end I think Alisha did a mistake in the second last corner. She went off a bit, and Then I went on the outside into the last corner, and I was just by her into the corner, and then I was just trying to push, but they were too far ahead. But I think the start was really good. I think I got a bit of a gap, and then I took it a bit chill into the second corner because I didn't want to lock up or anything to destroy my tires.
When you look at the championship, obviously still in a great position there, are you a little bit concerned by how fast the KMR Sport cars are?
Like, I think if I just do a good first and second lap, then it would be hard to overtake. So it was just a mistake by me in this race in the last corner. So if I don't do that tomorrow, I think we'll have a good result.
Plenty of opportunity to make up for the mistake. Congratulations on the podium.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go, Linus Granfors there with Vortec. Lewis McGlade will now talk you through our final podium of the day.
And for Linus Granfors, their fun fact, it is only the second time he's been on the podium this season where it hasn't been victorious, which is always a fun one to pick out. He's been on the podium 8 times. Coincidentally, that's the same amount of times as Lucas Blakeley's been on the podium, which just shows how good Blakeley has been in the 10 races that he's done in GB4. He has also moved up ahead of Callum Baxter in the championship. So Lucas Blakeley, after just 10 races, is in the top 5 of the championship. He hunts down a potential 4th place in the season standings. We really do have to focus towards the top, though. That's where things are very, very interesting. Harry Burgoyne Jr. really applying that pressure now after a 2nd consecutive victory in GB4. Could we see 4 consecutive victories from Harry Burgoyne Jr. to try and go for the crown? Unlikely, sure, because winning that 3rd race of the weekend is going to be really, really tough. But I can see him winning 3 on the bounce. Of course, we have had 4 on the bounce this year before when Linus Granfors won. He won race 3, the reverse grid at Alton Park, and then won race 1 and race 2 at Silverstone, and then won race 1 at Donington Park, because of course Silverstone 3 was cancelled due to awful weather. And that's the important thing to note, is we don't really know what the weather's going to be like tomorrow. It says that it might be a bit cloudy, says that there might be some rain about. It doesn't look like it's going to be anywhere near as heavy as it was on Friday if we do get any rain. But who really knows? It does chop and change quite quickly around here in Kent, so it's kind of one of those ones you've just got to be a little bit more patient and have to wait and see how things unfold tomorrow. That's where, you know, drivers being able to react and adapt quickly to the conditions is so critical, especially in junior Formula here in the United Kingdom. We'll see them come out on then to the podium. It'll be Linus Granfors, the first driver to step his way out, a driver who's won 6 races in 2024 and has been on the podium 8 times. This one being, of course, the 8th, but of course has finished in the top 5 in pretty much every race in 2024. Then it'll be Lucas Blakeley. Doesn't get beaten that much, has won 3 times in the season. Obviously he's had a handful of podiums, and now it's Harry Burgoyne Jr. onto the top step of the podium. It means that it's a 2nd consecutive victory for Harry Burgoyne Jr. It's a 2nd consecutive 1-2 for KMR Sport. They don't really need it for the team's championship, but it's always a good one to rack up, as not sure how happy Linus Granfors is at finishing 3rd in this race. Like I said, a couple of mistakes there, a couple of tricky slips and slides, and they will probably have to deal with the low sun tomorrow evening as well. So if it's been a problem for them today, they'll be expecting that to affect tomorrow's final race, which of course could indeed be the championship decider. We'll have to wait and see on that one, though. We'll go and take a look at highlights. Highlights from round 19 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Great start from Linus Granfors from the pole position, as it would be Harry Burgoyne Jr. trying to attack, would get through and hold 2nd position on the race down into the 1st corner, then up to Druids, as Lucas Blakeley would try and go on the attack of his teammate. The 2 Elite Motorsports car behind would see Finn Harrison going a little bit slow at Druids and opening the door potentially for an attack from Wilson. This is the big talking point, though, a big slide going into the penultimate corner, and then an even bigger one at the final one for Linus Granfors, as it would cost him both 1st, 2nd, and then even 3rd as well. He dropped back to 4th position, applying pressure though to Alisha Palmowski all the way through the end of the race. Was almost able to get through cleanly on the circuit. Would have to go right around the outside though after a big slide from Alisha Palmowski, dealing with that pressure of Linus Granfors. Ahead of all that though, it would be a 1-2, still running away miles into the distance for the KMR Sport duo. It was another victory for Harry Burgoyne Jr., with Lucas Blakeley just coming in behind. We'll take a look. Well, we won't take a look at the results from the race. It was, of course, the 1-2 for the KMR Sport team in fantastic fashion. Lucas Blakeley finishing in second. Linus Granfors would end up finishing in third place, with Alisha Palmowski in fourth. Brandon Templeton would round out the top 5 in the number 24 Fox Motorsports car, which is a solid result for him, but still going to be losing a bit of ground to Lucas Blakeley in the championship. Finn Harrison would be in 6th, with Wilson in 7th. Chloe Grant in 8th position. Baxter unfortunately down to 9th position after a solid showings over the last couple of rounds. Taylor there in 10th, with Hickey and Megan Bruce rounding out the field. Let's talk championship though. Let's talk the big stuff. Linus Granfors will have 415 points. That means that his lead's been cut down by to 26 points over Harry Burgoyne Jr. So it is tight. He has grown an extra 3 points over Alisha Palmowski. So that's now 38 points between first, second and third. Alisha Palmowski though still definitely in tow. She can score a maximum of 60 points courtesy of where she's going to be starting in race 3. We'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. A little bit further down though, Brandon Templeton being chased down just 15 points clear of Lucas Blakeley, who again, with that form that Lucas Blakeley's had so far this season in the 10 races that he's done, I don't want to be bad for the Brandon Templeton fan base. I would say Lucas Blakeley is likely to take over 4th position, but you never know how things are going to go. It could switch for the next race and then could switch back again after that final race of the weekend, where we have that reverse grid and things are going to get very interesting. Callum Baxter, after that poor result, down to now to 6th in the championship. Finn Harrison at risk. Callum Baxter is losing out to Finn Harrison here, because Harrison's got some great form coming in recently. The final 3 positions in there being Taylor, Grant and Wilson, but of course we really do have to keep our eyes focused on the top, how close it is between the top 3. I don't believe this is going to be done by the end of the first race tomorrow morning. I think it is going to come down to the wire. Unlike in GB3, we only have to worry about the Drivers' Championship here. KMR Sport have already won the Teams' Championship. They've won that in fantastic fashion. They've been so dominant through the season as a team. It is looking strong, but it's looking great for the top 3. Let's hand down though to Piers, who's in the paddock, catching up with a couple of our drivers.
Thanks, Lewis. Yep, down here getting some reaction as always. And Templeton, Brandon, that looked like it was not a huge amount going on, but there was a lot of ebbing and flowing. It looked like you had some good pace in that one.
Yeah, it was a really good race actually. At the start I was really strong. I had really good pace, got up to Grand Falls, but the middle to end I sort of dropped off a little bit. And yeah, it was just hard. It was a long race, to stay focused with such a hard track. It was difficult. Circuit we go to. Focus for on the back. So the start wasn't really good. We lost a few places, but managed to back up. Confidence, yeah.
Cars.
Well, we'll come back to Piers in a moment. It seems as though he's completely broken the camera. It's absolutely fine. It's been a difficult day condition-wise, so that's fine. Like I say, exciting run there. Shame we couldn't catch up with Brandon Templeton there, but it is what it is. We'll catch up with him in a bit, I'm sure. But again, fantastic drive from Templeton to finish up in 5th position. Was really applying the pressure on as well. The big questions, though, again, championship-wise, can Linus Granfors, find that space, find what the issue was there for the Fortec car that he was driving, the big slides that he had in that race. Can Alisha Palmowski find a little bit extra speed? It does seem as though those two might need to do a little bit to keep the KMR Sport duo at bay in the next one. But for Harry Burgoyne Jr., he's looking quick. I think Linus Granfors, he's got the double pole, so he'll be starting from pole position again tomorrow morning. So that'll be fun to watch, see whether he can hang on from this one. He actually had a really good start. I think that's the important bit, is that where we saw in GB3, we saw a couple of drivers struggling with the start, because the grid here at Brands Hatch is really, really difficult for them to actually get going and really clear off, because of basically how it drops downhill and then goes back uphill. It's and also the entire grid is down on a bank. It's really, really difficult. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. We'll try again. Let's see if we can phone down to Piers.
Don't worry, I've given the aerial a little tweak and I think we're back on. Thank you very much, Lewis. So yeah, a good race there. Not what we were expecting. Linus pretty strong normally. Made one mistake and paid the price. It keeps the championship battle alive.
Yeah, it's good entertainment for us. Of course, Linus, I haven't actually heard your interview, but I'm sure he would have been a bit disappointed.
He was very chilled.
Oh,
he's
he
always
always
very
is.
chilled. Yeah.
But no, it was an interesting race. It keeps the championship battle on. Of course, that's still that close battle between Palmowski and Burgoyne, and that brings, that makes that brings that gap together as well. So still a lot to happen. Still 2 more races to go, and the reverse grid. Should be good.
Absolutely. Well, look, you can check out all the information about today. You can re-watch the races exactly where you're watching right now, and you can check the GB4 social media as well as the GB3 social media if you're watching that as well. And we've got 4 more races, 2 in the GB3 and 2 in the GB4 Championship for you tomorrow. Not sure the weather's going to do tomorrow. On my little app earlier, Piers, I'm not looking at you like I need a weather forecast. I know what the weather's going to do tomorrow, but on the app on my phone, it had a little rain cloud. Now today we've had a sun and it was sunny, so I'm trusting the app. If there is a little bit of rain here, it could throw, a few curveballs our way.
Yeah, a few spanners in the works. That would be good for the entertainment, but anyway, we'll see what happens.
Not good for people leading the championships. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you can check out all the information on the social media page of the GB4 Championship with all the timings of the races. We generally start about 20 to 25 minutes before that, so make sure you're locked in where you're watching now. And we'll see you tomorrow, where we will crown a GB4 and a GB3 champion.